Did you just buy HP Tuners and you're trying to figure out how to utilize the VCM scanner? Or have you had HP Tuners for a while and you just want to understand what channels should I be looking at? How should I interpret this data? And how should I input this stuff into the ECU? Well, y'all have come to the right place. So my name is Matt Sanford. I've been tuning for 17 years. And my goal is now to train what I've learned over the years without you guys having to pay a ton of money. I just want you guys to be able to learn your vehicles and understand how tuning works. So for today's video, I've gotten a lot of comments and messages about this, about what channels do I watch in a Gen 3 vehicle, how do I add them, and realistically what I personally am just watching when I'm tuning these vehicles. So let's go ahead on and jump in the scanner and let's get to work. All right, so the first thing we need to talk about is how to add or remove a channel. So we're gonna go over here to our channels list. This is our channels list over here on the left-hand side. And let's talk about, we can just go in and remove one. So we've got engine RPM pulled up. So if you want to remove it, you can right click it and hit remove channel, or you can just hit the delete button. So we'll remove it and let's go ahead on and add it back. So to add it back, we're going to right click and we're going to hit add channel. And you're going to go up the top. You can just see where it says text filter. You can just type in RPM and you can double click it and it has now been added back into the channels list. So for my channels list, we're going to do vehicle speed. Obviously, vehicle speed is just the mile per hour from the output shaft speed that's determined based off of gear ratio and tire size. So it is the physical mile per hour that the vehicle is running. You're going to want to log this for idle tuning, for transmission tuning. It's just one of the most critical channels to watch. Next one is going to be another obviously very critical channel to watch. It's going to be engine RPM. You guys probably already can assume, you know, we need to do idle tuning with it. We need to know transmission shift points, engine RPM. We always need to know. So these next couple inputs are basically going to be the most critical inputs that we need to watch. We need to keep an eye on these things. So the next one's going to be engine coolant temp. Obviously, we want to know how hot or cold the engine is, and we also need this for calculation on determining our VE tables. So engine coolant temp is going to be part of the VE calculation. So the next one's going to be intake manifold absolute pressure. This is obviously your MAP sensor or manifold air pressure sensor. On a Gen 3 vehicle, this is that little square sensor. It's got a 3-wire plug on it. On the trucks, it's on top of the intake manifold. On the LS ones, it's on the back of the intake manifold. But this gives us our manifold vacuum, I guess the best way to put it. So the next one's going to be air intake temp. That's going to be the sensor that's in your mass airflow sensor. That is obviously looking at the intake temperature that is coming through the mass air. We obviously need it for VE calculations, speed density calculations, things like that. Next one's going to be timing advance. That is actually ignition timing. We definitely need to watch that one. Knock retard is going to be the amount of timing that the ECU is subtracting. So when you see this, whatever number this is, if it's 2 or 3, that means the ECM is pulling that amount to remove detonation. So we definitely want to watch that. Mass airflow sensor. This is going to be your frequency that the mass airflow sensor is outputting. So you've got mass airflow sensor frequency, and then you get the mass flow rate. So mass airflow sensor frequency is the higher up in airspeed you move across the mass airflow sensor, the higher up in frequency you are, which is traditionally a sign of horsepower or torque. So torque equals airflow. So the higher up in frequency you go, the more airflow the engine's consuming, the more power you're producing. The next one's going to be the mass flow rate. This is essentially the calculation that the ECU is taking from the mass airflow sensor. It's going to take this in whichever unit you're going to use, whether it be grams per second, which is really realistically the one that you should be looking at, or pound per hour, pound per minute. But this is the sensor that is taking the airflow calculation from the mass airflow sensor, and the engine is taking that calculation, it's converting it over to fuel flow, and that's what produces fuel injection. The next one is going to be dynamic airflow. Now, dynamic airflow is the final airflow calculation. So in a Gen 3 vehicle, or really realistically any GM vehicle, you've got a hybrid setup where it's actually the ECU is looking at the mass airflow sensor and the manifold air pressure sensor, and it's going to take calculations based off of both, and it comes out with a final output, which is your dynamic airflow. This is a very, very critical thing to log. You definitely want to log it. Injector flow rate. This is one of the things you're going to want to log. That way you have injector duty cycle in your scanner. But also this gives you an idea to make sure that you can keep an eye on this to see if it's set up correctly for your vehicle. So If you have a deadheaded system, like fuel system, where the fuel pressure is, say it's static off the back, where it's coming out at 58 psi, but there's no fuel pressure regulator up front, then that means that as manifold vacuum increases, so does the injector size. So you want to see this number right here increasing as manifold vacuum is increasing, and vice versa. You want to see it decrease when manifold vacuum is decreasing. Next one's going to be control module voltage. This is the battery voltage at the ECM. This is a very critical one right here. So the next one's going to be throttle position sensor. So one of these is going to be throttle position sensor volts, which is very critical. This will help you, especially in some idle tuning and transmission tuning. Just for a quick reference, you don't want to see TPS voltage to go over 0.8 in order for the GM to be able to run its idle routine. So if you're running aftermarket throttle body, just make sure it's below 0.8. Next one's going to be throttle position sensor in a percentage or a ratio. So realistically, if everything's set up correctly, when you're off throttle, TPS percentage is going to be 0 or 0.4%. In wide open throttle, obviously we want it at 100%. Next one's going to be fuel system status. This is going to basically tell you if your vehicle is in open loop or closed loop. I would highly recommend you use this one as well. This one actually helps to diagnose some things. So say you're doing a tune and the vehicle's supposed to be in closed loop, but it's actually in open loop. This will actually tell you why. Sometimes it will say closed loop fault, meaning you have a check engine light that's preventing the closed loop from functioning correctly. So your next two is going to be injector pulse width. This is going to be bank 1 and bank 2. This is the other part of the calculation for injector duty cycle. So you definitely want to watch both of these. These should constantly be following each other. They should basically be the same. If they are different, they're constantly different, that usually means you have a closed loop issue, which usually means you have a mechanical issue, whether it be exhaust leak, whether it be vacuum leak, whether it be dirty injectors, whatever. So you want to log both of these because, again, this is the other part of the calculation for injector duty cycle. Cylinder air mass. This is essentially the amount of air mass that is going into each individual cylinder. It's actually in grams per cylinder is the calculation. This is what is the axis for your timing table and a lot of things like that. So you definitely want to log cylinder air mass. Cylinder air mass is going to basically tell you how much power your engine is producing and how efficient your engine actually is. Delivered engine torque. This is one of a lot of guys that miss on Gen 3 stuff. The transmissions especially still are based off of torque. So if you look in your 4L60 or 4L80 tune, you'll see that the shift pressure is actually based off of torque. The axis is actually torque. So you want to make sure delivered engine torque is a reasonable number. So if your injector data is wrong and you are telling the mass airflow sensor in the V table lies because your injector data is wrong, that will cause your torque to be off, which will cause your line pressure and shift times to be off on your electronically controlled automatic. So we definitely want to have that. Equivalence ratio, that is essentially the lambda that you are commanding. I work in lambda, so when you're closed loop and just cruising around, this equivalence ratio will be 1. And then as you go into power enrichment, this number is going to be whatever you're commanding in lambda. So even though it says equivalence ratio commanded, it is actually lambda commanded essentially. So if you're commanding 0.86 lambda, this will actually say 0.86 lambda. Next one's going to be air fuel ratio commanded. That's for you guys that want to work in air fuel ratio still. If your stoic point is set up correctly, this should, and you're running E10, this should be say 14.08 to 14.12 at idle and closed loop correction. And then obviously as you go out of throttle, it's whatever air fuel ratio you're commanding. My next one is my wideband. If you guys need to understand how to input a wideband, all you've got to do is you right click, you add channel, and you will go under this MPVI2 or ProLink. You will click this, you will click ProLink, and then you will double click on whichever one yours is wired to. So if you have your wideband wired to the red and black or the blue and black, you'll click whichever one's correlating with this, and then it will actually pop up and you will need to transform it into your wideband. So in order to transform it, you're going to right click, you're going to hit transform, and then you're going to select which oxygen sensor you're going to use. I use equivalence ratio or lambda, and then I use this Ballinger AFR 500 V2 wide, so that it automatically populates this. You can go through there, there will be AEM, there will be plenty of other sensors available, so hopefully it has you covered. Keep in mind that air fuel ratio sensor and equivalent sensor is two different things. they still technically function the same, but equivalence ratio sensor is going to be your lambda sensor. Air fuel ratio sensor is going to be the one that actually inputs it on like a 14.7 scale. Next one's going to be long-term fuel trims. Bank 1, that is your closed loop fuel corrections in a long-term event. So say you're cruising down the road and your vehicle is constantly, adding 10% fuel. Eventually your long-term fuel trims will catch up and this will add the 10% fuel. Short-term fuel trims, this is your immediate controls. This is if you're cruising down the road and the ECU needs to make an immediate change to your closed loop fueling, it will go and add. So if you were 10% off, it would add the 10%. And if it stayed 10% long enough on short term, it would gradually go over to long term, and then short term would get down to 0. So the whole point of long terms is to bring your short terms down to 0. If you get a system too lean or too rich code, that means your long terms have gone either plus or minus 25%. That means your tuning is off, mechanical condition is off, whether it be fuel pressure, whether it be injectors, whether it be vacuum leak, things like that. Oxygen sensor voltages is going to be the next one. We've got bank 1 and bank 2. This is the millivolts that your oxygen sensors are producing. So a traditional oxygen sensor unplugged will produce 0.45 volts. If it goes all the way rich would be up to 1 volt, lean would be down to basically 0 volts. So I always log these to kind of keep an eye out onto misfire conditions especially. So even if I'm in open loop where I'm just, using my wideband for fueling and I'm making corrections there, I can still watch both oxygen sensor voltages. And if I have one dip lean, if you see these lean dips, that is usually a sign of a misfire. Or if you see them imbalanced, where say one's 0.9 and one's 0.7, that usually is a sign of an imbalance on fueling at wide open throttle. You need to address that. Idle adapt. This is short-term idle trims is what STIT stands for. This tells you your immediate airflow that the ECU is correcting to get your idle under control. So say you're commanding a 750 RPM idle and you're on a stock time or a stock idle table. This may be adding say 6 grams per second of fuel or of air, and you can actually take that and input it directly into your base running airflow table. I have that in one of my or multiples of my videos as well. So normally I would link a video, but you guys, like, I've got 20 something videos out right now, and each video, even if it's a vlog style video, I'm still teaching you guys how to tune during that video, so please check it out. Idle control position, this is the number of steps that your idle air control motor is moving. All the way closed, meaning it's not adding any airflow, is 0. All the way open is 310 steps, and anywhere in between is obviously anywhere in between. So I watch this because I like a cammed vehicle to run between 40 and 60 steps, and that will allow it to have more room for cold start, and it will allow it to go up to 310 steps. Next one's going to be long-term idle trims. So we've got both in gear and in park neutral. Long-term idle trim is just like a long-term fuel trim. If your short-term idle trims is off for long enough, your long-term idle trims will pick it up, and that will become its new normal, because its goal is to also bring down the short-term idle trims to 0, just like what short-term fuel trims and long-term fuel trims do. Idle cracker airflow. Idle cracker is going to be the amount of airflow when you're basically rolling down the road. So say you're in a pickup truck and you're doing 40 miles an hour. If you let off the throttle, idle cracker is going to come in and it's going to hold airflow there to keep the engine from stalling. Idle follower, that is essentially it's almost like a cushion of airflow for, say you rev the vehicle. When you rev it, it's going to add, obviously your blade angle is going to come up, the engine's going to rev. As it comes down, this is like a cushion to help catch the engine to keep it from stalling. Again, all of this stuff that I'm explaining right now is in other videos of mine. You'll just have to watch to figure it out on your own. I will eventually show this. I'll continue to show these again in my tuning videos. But this is going to be one of the most in-depth as far as the channels go. The other videos that you're going to see me doing this stuff on, you're just going to be watching the channels, and I may explain it in the video, but I'm going to just have to expect you guys to watch more of my videos to understand what I'm talking about. Idle desired airflow. This is the amount of idle airflow that the engine or the ECM actually thinks the engine is needing. So say you were idling, say the mass airflow sensor is seeing 10 grams per second of airflow at idle. This should be close to it. That way you know that your idle calculations are correct. Idle desired RPM is exactly that. It's the desired idle RPM that you've inputted into your tune. Coming up towards the end, PRNDL status, that is our park neutral safety switch. That is going to tell you if you're in park or in drive. A lot of swaps have this issue to where their vehicles are just constantly in drive, and that will need to be corrected to get your idle airflow correct. This is where you can watch that. Trans current gear is exactly that. It's going to tell you which gear the transmission is in. This does not show neutral or anything like that. This is just for forward gears only. So you're going to see gears of 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever 5, 6 if you're in Gen 4. And then TCC applied this is a channel that is traditionally showing if the TCC is applied. Some vehicles are wired backwards, so sometimes this will say yes, it's applied when it's actually not, and vice versa. But you can just watch this to see what your torque converter itself is doing. So that goes through my list of channels. I don't do gauges. I'm not a big gauges fan. It also takes extra GPU usage for your laptop to run it, so I always delete the gauges. Graphs are going to be your histogram. That's going to be, so basically what you can do is you can go into here and you can right click and you can actually add a graph. So like right here, we're looking at our Spark Advanced table. So I can actually input in that I want my column axis to be engine speed. My row axis can be cylinder air mass. You can input all this data in from your own tune, and then this will actually populate when you're driving a vehicle. So I'm going to have a lot of graphs that I've learned over time, and I will probably do videos on probably each and every one of these, but I cannot cram this into one video. It just doesn't make sense for me to do. So then my next one's going to be charts. Charts is what I mainly look at. This is going to be your live data where the data is actually streaming across the screen sideways. And this is basically just the inputs. It is just it's the graphics display of our channels. So if you guys need to know what any of this is, you can just go back through and look through the channels that we just discussed. This is my own personal setup. Now this layout right here is actually for a Gen 4 vehicle. If I wanted to pull up a Gen 3, I can just pull up Gen 3 NA P0153. And so this is going to be my Gen 3 setup right here. So if you guys want to screenshot this or whatever, you can look through and see how I have mine set up. The only thing that you're not going to have access to is going to be horsepower. That is a user-defined math, and I can show you guys how to do that one day. And V from dynamic airflow and V from brake-specific fuel consumption. These are user-inputted math. So this is stuff that I've created. Again, I will do videos on these one day. So if you want to screenshot this, you can see what I'm logging. And then if you want to screenshot my channels, again, these are just, so this STIT, this is the axis from your base running airflow. So you can just right click, hit graphs layout, go to STIT, and you'll see that your column axis is engine coolant temp. You'll input, these numbers are straight directly from your tune. And then if you set your parameter as STIT, then as you warm the vehicle up, this is going to tell you how far off you are. So anyways, guys, hopefully that explains a lot. If you like it, please subscribe. I try to get super detailed. Also, I hope you guys like my new setup. For the guys that have already been here for a while, obviously I have a new green screen. I'm running 4K camera. I'm wearing a wireless mic, and I have lights in front of me. I'm going to continue to try to make your viewing experience as nice as possible. I don't want you guys to cringe when you're watching me. I want you guys just to be able to sit back and relax and learn. I may even put some guys to sleep enough to where you have to go back and watch it. But anyways, thanks for the likes, the subscribes, the comments. Thanks for the follows on TikTok. If you're on TikTok and you're not watching me on YouTube, please go over to my YouTube channel. The link is actually in my profile. So if you back out of that, or if you just click my little icon over on the right, go into my profile, you'll see where it says subscribe, and you'll have my YouTube channel there. Just trying to build up a good community of people to where we can all talk. I'm going to start live streaming real soon. That's why I have the new setup. I'm actually building an entire content room in my house just for live streaming to you guys. And we're going to go over customer tunes. We're going to go over and do some really cool stuff. And I'm going to show you guys everything. So again, if you like this content, please subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow.